Hey, it's 5 o'clock, and on Off the Clock with B. Scott. Today, we got Billy Hrvatin with us today. He is the Hot Springs Chief of Police. Now, he's going to tell us about his career, how he got into that. We might talk a little bit of fishing. But, guys, there's a lot of technology that's new in the police force, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. It's kind of crazy, really. So, before we get into it, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Let's get in. So, Billy, thanks for making the trip down here today. I'm sure you're busy, as always. I'm definitely happy you got to come and kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to be the chief of Hot Springs.
Yeah, it's kind of a long story. That's quite the journey. So I started in law enforcement in 1997. My dad was a police officer with Hot Springs for 27 years.
So when you were a kid, was it, you looked up to your dad and you thought maybe that's something you wanted to go to? The same kind of route?
So I originally thought I wanted to be a game warden. And
what made you want to be a game warden?
Just like the outdoors. Everyone else, hunting and fishing. And so I was kind of drawn to that. And I thought, that'd be a cool job. Still be in law enforcement, but a different twist to it, be out there and outside and in nature and stuff. But then I found out what they made at the time and what the requirements were. They wanted you to have a 4-year degree, and it was like one of the lowest paying law enforcement jobs around. It's like, maybe that's not.
I wonder why.
It ain't like that no more.
No,
it's better now, but back then it wasn't so great. And then of course at that time coming out of high school and stuff, I needed to be 21 years of age before I could be a law enforcement officer. It's still that way now before you can be certified. But so I kind of decided to take other routes and really didn't know what I wanted to do for a while. And unfortunately in 1996, we had an officer killed in the line of duty. His name was Chris Anderson, and I knew Chris, and I knew him through my dad and that kind of thing. And I was working another job at the time, and I guess you could say I was trying to find my way in life.
Yeah.
But the day of his funeral, I was out working on my job, and the funeral procession went down Central Avenue right in front of me. And that's when I decided I was going to be a police officer.
Right there.
It's kind of weird, maybe, or people think, well,
just clicked for you.
Man, a guy just got killed in the line of duty, and now you want to be a cop. But
it
was, that was just a moment that I knew that that's what I was going to do.
You're doing it for a different reason.
Yeah.
So that's good.
You've seen all of it around, like the parading through, and you're like, that's standing for something,
Yeah.
And the guy, gave the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah.
And something, people want to be a part of. It's kind of like the brotherhood. We had Frank Weston here maybe a week or two ago.
Yeah.
And that's one thing he pushed was the brotherhood, the team, the atmosphere of that. I mean, I'm sure, because you depend on your people and you get drawn to that and, hooked on that.
Yeah, it's very much that way in law enforcement too. You're always working within a team, within a unit. And I was kind of that way growing up. I played team sports, and, I was into that kind of thing. And so I was kind of naturally drawn to, a team environment. So, that's another aspect of the job that a lot of guys that are, team driven do well in law enforcement and the military, of course, too.
Right. So as a police chief, what is your responsibilities at a police station? I guess you're the boss man, huh?
I'm the boss.
That's good.
I answer to the city manager. We have city managers form of government. And then our city manager answers to our board of directors, our city director. So I answer directly to him. I have a really good city manager. He's very, very supportive of the police department and supportive of me. And just a good all-around guy, honestly. And but my job is the whole thing.
Yeah.
I've got 159 employees within our organization. Got 115 sworn officers, and of course we have civilian staff. We have dispatchers. We have animal control under us, and so there's a lot of responsibility.
Right.
We got a fleet of 150 cars.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Hot Springs was that big. I know it's a big city, but that's a lot of cop cars.
Yeah. Well, all of our officers have take-home units, which is a perk for them. And but that's a big fleet to take care of. So I got people that have to do that.
Absolutely. So when your phone rings, more likely they're needing they got a problem usually.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you guys know, there's a lot of problems day in and day out.
I know. It's like my phone rings. Like, oh boy, here we go.
You never know what it's going to be either. It's always like
you never know.
It could be anything from, the air conditioner's out at the police department and we need to have somebody come up there and work on that, or it could be we have a major incident.
Yeah.
Anything in between.
So do you go out in the streets? I mean, do you know where your officers?
No, not that much.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the life of a police chief, really. And,
Right.
you know, in any kind of sizable city.
Right. So you do more admin stuff.
It's a lot of admin stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I spend a lot of time sitting behind a computer, and of course, that's not been my career all along. You know, I mean, you don't just start one day and then the next day you're a police chief. You know, I mean, I've had an evolution of a career.
Did you have to apply for that job, or
I did?
Okay, well, I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
So how many years were you in before you applied to be the police chief?
I was appointed chief. It's been 2 full years now. And so I had about 25 and a half years, almost 26 years.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to hit 28 years in September of this year.
So, I mean, is it hard to find new recruits?
Yeah.
I mean, is it so? I mean, have you seen a decline of people wanting to be police officers?
For sure.
Really?
And why do you think that
For
is?
sure.
What do you think the reasoning behind that is?
I really don't feel like, you know, our society these days has the same type of patriotism, the same type of commitment to serve their community, their country, like we've seen in, years past that you saw 20, 30 years ago.
When were you born?
I was born in 1973.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, 73, 75, the 80s, those guys, those rocks,
But you have to have law enforcement. It's like, at what point do you think that it's hard to say, but like surely it can't get to where like nobody wants to do it.
Well, they don't have robots, man. You see the movies?
RoboCop?
Yeah.
Well, police work is much more difficult than it is now than what it was when I started.
Because there's more people?
Well, it's much more, there's so much more for an officer to keep up with and for an officer to know and have to do,
rules, regulations. I mean, it's
rules, regulations,
it's a lot of
technology.
Yeah.
I mean, when I started, there wasn't, we got a notepad and a pen and a badge and a gun.
And no computers.
And you learned.
No GPS.
Right. Learned law.
Yeah.
You went to the academy like everyone else does. You learn state statutes. You learn how to apply the law. You do a little field training with, some other guys, but it's so, there's so much more to it these days,
Yeah.
Computers in cars and dash cams and body cams and tasers and, the list goes on and on.
And that turns people, away from maybe pursuing being in law enforcement because there's maybe the liability that goes with it. They don't want to get, put themselves at risk, not just physically, like as far as harm goes, but like, I don't want to get in trouble with this. I don't want, to be somebody filming me, and put in these positions, Yeah.
And I mean, you see as a young guy these days, if you're 21, 22, 23 years old and you see things that are going on the news and you see where police officers are being prosecuted for certain things and, that has to cause apprehension in them. And I can understand that, When I took the test to be a police officer, I sat in a room with probably 110 or 20 other people and took that test. And that was in 1996, of course. And now we're lucky if we can get 30.
Really?
Yeah.
And the people that's coming to be a police officer, why are they doing it? Do you know? I mean, why are they doing it? They're doing it because they can't find a job, or they're doing it because they want to be a police officer? I mean, have you seen a change of
No, I think guys that get into this, guys and gals both, they have an honest reason for wanting to do it. They want to serve their community.
Yeah. So that's why, like you said earlier, just downsized. There used to be a whole lot more people.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'll admit, like when I went into law enforcement, I was the adrenaline junkie kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I wanted to chase bad guys and, drive cars and turn lights and sirens on and, do the stuff that you think's cool that you see.
I mean, it is cool. I mean, I rode around with a police officer in Texas. I was in high school, and I guess they had a program down there, get kids out of high school for being police officers.
Yeah, like a cadet program.
Yeah. So I actually went into that program.
That's cool.
And I got to ride around and learn all that stuff. And I was going to be a police officer too. I was going to be either that or go in the military, but I ended up building boats. But yeah, I was wanting to be a cop too, and I was going to be a cop for the same reason. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Now they scare me because oh my God, here we go. We're going to get a speeding ticket, Jesus. I don't know what you can do, but 160/70 is changed 75 miles.
167 is bad.
If we can get that done, I don't know. Pull some strings.
I've got no clout for that.
I mean, I'm telling you, it's terrible. It's terrible. Like that has to be a money pit of. I don't know how much money they make off of that highway, but it's a lot. I mean, if you're speeding, you're going to get a ticket.
Absolutely. Which, I mean,
but anyways,
he's looking at it like we should be speeding.
That's I don't know, but
60 feels slow on this highway.
I mean, come on, man. Every car, every car you buy nowadays, they go fast. They're easy to drive.
Economic, not burning a lot of gas.
And I get pulled over by this cop. I'm like, dude, come on, man.
This thing idles at 70.
Does it look like I'm a bad guy? You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, give me a break here, I'm like, I get so mad. But I understand what you guys are doing. If you don't have rules, everybody will speed. But it was 5:30 in the morning with nobody in the state of Arkansas up besides me.
He's speaking of one incident, if you can't tell. I mean, anyways, he gets very detailed here.
It really gets under my skin. But yeah, cops is a good thing. I was want to be a cop, and and I think you guys are cool. But there's always bad and good. You guys are pulling people over. Y'all doing. You're out there working the streets. I mean, is the attitudes gotten better towards cops? Because 3 or 4 years ago it was terrible.
Well, I think we're lucky, probably in Arkansas, but in our community in particular, we've always had good support from our community.
Yeah.
Now, do you have those people that are going to be those problem folks when you pull them over? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those folks, they're all over the place. They live everywhere. But we also have a lot of support in our community. Mm-hmm. You guys know, as growing up in Arkansas, I would think that we're a little bit more patriotic than, people in other states and other communities. And, and I think people appreciate the job in general. I think people here appreciate the job that people do as a police officer.
Yeah.
So we've always had a lot of support.
You got to do a lot of community events to get people to
We do.
Yeah.
And we're very community oriented in our department.
Yeah.
Do a lot of things throughout the year.
I've never been pulled over by a Hot Springs cop, by the way.
That's good.
I haven't either, actually.
Yeah.
That's a good thing for us, huh?
Yeah.
So other than law enforcement, obviously, we talked a little bit before we got on about, shooting, fishing, and you do some other things, but I know your time has got to be limited. Being the chief, you're the guy everybody, looks to for answers. So I'm sure your phone's ringing off the hook. So where do you find the time?
Well, I don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
But when I do, I like to hunt, fish, and, I do a little shooting on the side, a little recreational shooting, sometimes a little competition shooting, things like that.
And is this like all like firearms and not firearms, it's like pistols and stuff, or is it like competition shooting like that, or is it long range? What kind of competition shooting are you talking about?
Yeah, mostly pistol. I've done a little USPSA shooting. I've done a few IDPA matches, steel challenge, things like that. I do some rimfire matches. We got a local range there and kind of a shooting club not far from Hot Springs. It's pretty big into all that kind of stuff. So I go out there and I shoot with those guys and.
And you have requirements for your police officers to shoot and do that kind of stuff. You do that with them?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so, everybody has to pass a qualification, course for their handgun and a patrol rifle, AR-15. Mm-hmm. They have to pass a minimum qualification course for all that stuff, and we do that a couple times a year.
How often is it that people have a hard time getting through the shooting part of it?
Really not very often at all. Sometimes when we hire some new guys, they haven't been around guns that much or something, and they might have a little difficulty, but we don't have much of a problem with that. I think we do a pretty good job, probably better than some, of teaching our folks on the front end when we bring them in. We got some good trainers and spend a lot of time with them. We get them, developing good habits instead of bad habits.
Yeah, we had we actually had a shooting here not too long ago.
Yeah,
it was terrible, and I think it took way too long, to get the bad guy. But it seemed like they didn't have very good shooting skills. I mean,
and another thing too was like the time that he did it was like middle of the day on a Friday. Most men that would have arms, with them, they're all at work, and he did it at like a supermarket on a Friday.
But I also think it's a small town, and I just don't think the small town just realized something like that would ever happen. I just think they were so unprepared or something like that. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was insane. Do you guys train for that?
We do. We do active shooter training every year. That's part of our refresher training with all of our guys annually. When we bring in new officers, they get active shooter training, and then they'll get it again when they go to the academy, and then they're going to get an annual refresher with us every year. We also do scenario-based training.
Yeah.
So and when we do scenario-based training, we have people as role players, and we set up scenarios for guys to, have to work through, if you will. And they're carrying simunition pistols. It's kind of similar to a paintball gun. And of course we wear eye pro and stuff, so guys don't get their eyes damaged. But and then we create the scenarios, and then officers have to work through those scenarios. And some of them are shoot scenarios, some of them are don't shoot scenarios, decision making kind of stuff, put you under a lot of stress. It's kind of like to your point where you said seemed like it took them a long time, and then when they got there, maybe they didn't shoot so well. You might assume that those guys, maybe they didn't have that kind of training.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't think they did. I mean, I don't even know if they had AR-15s or not or whatnot, but I think they did. It was just a lot of shooting.
It was mass chaos too, because the public was there at a grocery store. Everybody's running around. Some people were trying to pull out. Some people were, this was mass scramble.
Me and Brandon was actually fishing, and I heard about the shooting, so I called a buddy of mine, and his wife got shot. And then I knew my wife was somewhere around there, and we had her little grandson with her. And I was thinking, oh my God, and I couldn't get a hold of my wife. I was freaking out. And we ran that $300 about hard as we could to get back to the boat ramp. We loaded her up, and we hauled butt. She finally called me, thank God. But boy, you're talking about being scared.
Yeah.
Being scared,
And I imagine, like being even, local law enforcement in that situation going down.
I think everybody was scared.
You'd have to be. I mean, for them, they're going in, they're risking their lives to go and try to confront this guy. And say you don't have all the training, or you don't have, never been put in that situation. I mean, that's pretty frightening, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and that dude just walked around shooting people through the glass, man. And I told my wife, we're getting our windows tinted, dark as they could get. And I'm like, screw it. We get a ticket. But that's what he did. I mean, if he'd seen somebody, he went after him, and it's just terrible. It's terrible to be like that. I can't imagine, the officers here, they were probably scared. They probably didn't know. See nothing like that, The sheriff came in and took care of the problem, but he was an older guy. He's been in law enforcement for a long time, and he just got in there and got it done. You could tell the difference in training and experience, So, I mean, you guys train really hard for that kind of stuff. I mean, is this something that you just do once a year, or because it seems like it just needs, all of our law enforcement needs to be trained for that kind of thing.
Yeah, we train all of our folks for that kind of stuff.
Right.
And we train multiple times a year, and we train with, with our pistols, with our rifles. We try to give them put the best tools in their toolbox that we can.
That's good.
Do y'all have any kind of like special unit, anything you'd call in for like maybe a situation like that?
And we have a SWAT team.
Yep. A city SWAT team?
Yep.
See, that's something we don't, Florida's don't have that.
These smaller towns like this, we don't have nothing like that. So you're depending on what they have in their car with them.
Really, in a situation like that, you're not going to get a SWAT team response. I mean, you will get a SWAT team response eventually, but that's not really who's going to respond to those kind of situations.
Yeah, it's going to be the city cops.
It's going to be the guy that's working that area right then, whoever gets that call on the radio. That's going to be your first responding officer. You're seeing different trends in law enforcement to help prepare and equip guys to do that kind of stuff, and ballistic shields and other equipment. Of course, most everybody carries AR-15s in their cars these days, and that was really kind of born from the LA bank robbery back in the day that lasted the shootout that lasted 47 minutes. And that's crazy if you don't know the history of it or you haven't watched it, but that's kind of what born the whole AR-15 in the hands of police officers. Before that, you really just had tactical units and people like that would run SWAT teams. They were carrying rifles every day, but they realized they were outgunned in that deal. So that kind of changed that trend. And I would say most bigger departments these days, guys are going to have those kinds of tools at their disposal.
Yeah. So
if you're going in a situation like that, you want to take an AR-15.
Yeah, you want to take something you can reach out there a little bit,
Yeah. Well, plus that gives you 2 weapon platforms. So, if that thing jams or breaks or you never know what's going to happen, then you can immediately transition to a handgun. You still got a working gun. You can still handle and do some work.
You ever been in a shootout or anything like that?
I haven't personally. I've been pretty close a couple times.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you have it. I mean,
are y'all seeing like the crime that takes place now? Is it more violent? Because I've heard some people talk about it being more violent now. The crime, like per crime, seems to be typically more violent than it used to be. You know, what's your take on that? Is it getting crazier? Or is it getting?
I think crimes is like anything else. You see trends in it. You know,
Really?
you see ups and downs, and you know, we saw some years where I think crime was up, and you know, I think we're on the downside of that now. I know in Hot Springs we've seen our crime stats going down. The last few years, our violent crime stats are down, our property crime stats are down, pretty much just across the board.
What do you think drives that? You think the economy drives that?
I think it's a lot of different things. I think the economy can play a role in it. I think public sentiment can play a role. You know, it's
In public sentiment, what do you mean by that?
well, I mean, just you know, the things that are exposed in the media or brought out in the media that drive people's, you know, mentality towards police and things like that. You know, I think we went through a spell there and where you saw a lot of defiance towards the police, you know, and we saw the defund.
That was driven by
police
politics.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of it, yes.
Yeah.
And we don't always do best by ourselves in law enforcement. We can do some things that give us a black eye as well, you know, but.
So, sure, you make mistakes, and everybody nowadays with the internet is like.
That's another thing, too.
They're looking for a reason to
Like social media probably drives a ton of it, you know.
Absolutely.
A lot of it.
So I think, you know, with crime, just like you see ups and downs in the economy, you see ups and downs in crime trends.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing downs now, you know, but.
And jobs. I mean, if people got jobs, they're working instead of stealing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
The drug market, of course, you know, drives a lot of it.
Do you deal with a lot of that in Hot Springs in general? Is there a lot of, you know, crime that's drug related versus, you know, say.
What's the worst? I mean, what's the highest crime? I think that's what you're trying to ask, right?
Yeah.
Is it theft? Is it drugs? What is it?
As far as the highest incident?
Well,
yeah. Like typically, what are you going to see in Hot Springs more of?
Where you're going to see, I think in any area in the country, you know, your property crimes are going to be your highest incident of crime.
Okay. So like stealing stuff?
And drugs and drug related. But most crime in some way has some nexus towards drugs. I mean, a lot, or, you know, people are stealing to support a drug habit. People are, you know, shooting other people because, you know, they're robbing them because they have drugs or they have money, you know, or, you know, both.
Right.
You see that a lot.
Right.
So.
Man, it's crazy. Is the drugs getting better?
I would say no.
Really?
I wonder, you know, it's like one of them things, like as soon as you get something out, I imagine something moves right back in.
Well, you have to understand the drug market is always going to be driven by the cartels.
Yeah.
And they're going to find a way. They always do.
You think Trump's going to help that, though?
I think that, the border crisis is not helping. That you know, that's not helping the
There's no way that ain't no way that could be helping.
No.
There's no way that could be helping.
No.
Them Democrats are just something else. But anyways.
I mean, absolutely.
I mean,
there's no other way to say
the shit they come up with blows my mind. But anyways, let's not get started on Democrats. But that has to help, right?
Yeah,
I mean, less people coming into the country, you know, those guys are looking for something.
There's going to be less opportunity to bring drugs into it.
Right.
I mean, that only makes sense. That's just logic. You know?
Well, less risk.
Right.
You know,
if we lessen the number of people that are coming into the country illegally, then we're going to lessen the incident of at least the availability for them to bring drugs in.
Makes sense.
You know, going back to the cartel thing, though, I mean, if you can look at the evolution of the drug market in America, and you know, when I started in law enforcement, it was all about cocaine, crack cocaine. That was when you were seeing a lot of the gang wars and things, you know, like between Bloods and Crips, and that was when the crack cocaine market just blew up. And then that kind of changed over the years. You know, back then, methamphetamine was something that guys cooked in their own kitchen. Right. You know, for the most part. You can look at further history of it, you know, that was something, the biker gangs were involved in that some too. And, but methamphetamine back then was something that most people cooked in their kitchen. We broke down a lot of meth labs back in the day. Like and that's a nasty environment to be in, a lot of chemicals, a lot of nasty stuff.
That's
but
crazy.
We had a lot of people cooking methamphetamine in Garland County. And, but that changed with the change in the state laws, you know, so they made it much more difficult to get your hands on the Sudafed or the Sudafed and Pseudoephedrine. Yep. And they put a lot of other stipulations on that, so you couldn't just walk in the market and buy, you know, boxes and boxes of Sudafed, which is the primary ingredient in it. So with that, then the cartel saw an opening, so they start producing a lot of methamphetamine, and they start bringing it across the border. And of course, now we've seen kind of a down, that's kind of fallen down a little bit, and we're seeing more fentanyl coming into, and that's true. I mean, you hear about it on the news and stuff, but yeah, I mean, we see fentanyl in Hot Springs. Yeah. And we've seized, quite a bit of it, and I think we'll probably seize more in the future. And then the reason being is because it's a very cheap drug to make, and they can make a lot of money off of it. Right. And the cartels are always about making money. Yeah. So
didn't Trump make it where those guys are, didn't he just pass a sign a deal about the drug?
I think they're having a lot of trouble coming down from Canada as well.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah. So maybe all this will help, the new president. And Trump.
I definitely feel like as far as crime goes, I feel like a lot of people are in a better state of mind. There's more opportunity. I know it hasn't been long, but it feels like there's more opportunity. Yeah. I don't necessarily know like any numbers behind that, but I feel like, like not taxing overtime, not taxing, Social Security and stuff. I mean, it's like we're making good moves in the right direction to get people working and busy.
I bet you it's going to help
get the country busy.
I bet it's going to help crime go down.
Well, if nothing else, I mean, positive attitudes. If people have positive attitudes, they're going to have a more positive outlook on life, and they're probably going to, in turn, probably make better decisions. And like you said, have more gainful employment and those kind of things. If that's what if that comes about through the Trump presidency, then hey, that's a good.
I mean, I've already seen the attitudes change. I mean, the day he was elected, I talked to some dealers at night.
The sigh of relief.
They were like, "Oh my God, it's going to be so good." Just feeling that you can wake up and not have to worry about your safety. I mean, you always worry about your safety, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, there's people fighting for the American people, and I think that's awesome. And it has to help crime. It has to help you and everybody.
Yeah, I think it will.
And it's not trying to divide the people either, like law enforcement and racism and all that crap we've seen these guys use for their. I don't know what they're trying to do. Like it didn't make no sense to me.
No, it's just pushing all this fake stuff on the media, making things seem way worse than it is.
So we talked about all this stuff here, but I also heard you fish Lake Ouachita.
I do.
So
I live pretty close to Lake Ouachita. So
spend some time out there.
Yeah.
So you mostly bass fishing and crappie. What do you fish for?
I fish both. I
really?
fish bass and crappie. Yeah.
Man,
I probably spend more time crappie fishing than bass fishing, but I like to do both.
What's your biggest largemouth out there?
Biggest one I've caught
on Lake Ouachita?
I don't know, probably 7 pounds. Yeah, something like that.
Did they catch like a 10-pounder out there?
They have. There's been some 10s come out of it.
Yeah. And one of those tournaments, I want to say last year, there was one big one caught.
Wasn't the elite last year? I think.
I don't remember.
I think they caught a 10 out there.
Do you run a live scope on your boat?
I do.
Okay.
That's a controversial subject.
Yeah, I know. That's why I had to bring that up. Hey. I was just filling the water out.
Hey, we have live scope.
Let me tell you something. Honestly, I enjoy the challenge of finding big fish now. Yeah. That's what I enjoy about bass fishing now. It's just hunting them down.
What do they say? If you ain't scoping, you're hoping?
Yeah.
Or you
ain't scoping, you're hoping.
I ain't going fishing without my thing.
I mean, for you personally, has live scope made you a better fisherman? Maybe a more knowledgeable fisherman because you can actually see the results that take place?
No, there's no doubt.
How many years did you fish without live scope? Were you ever on the lower bottom of the water column?
Since I was a kid, I fished without live scope until.
I know, but
as far as fishing.
But did you ever realize how hard it was to get your bait down there?
No, you don't realize that.
You don't realize that.
You don't realize how long it takes.
Yes.
It's like,
when you can see it in real time, it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah, you'll have a bait on that you fish for your whole life, and you're like,
yeah.
This thing's 4 foot deep.
And it also makes you pay attention to the weights. You're like, I need a heavier weight. This is taking like 2 days to get down there.
You can also really figure out how deep a crankbait runs on certain line.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, you can.
You know for sure.
You can run that. You can run a lipless right next to a weed line or grass line.
I would almost guarantee
it's taught us how to fish. Really.
Yes, just the information you gather from what you're doing is beneficial. Like even if you took live scope away, I'm not saying I would still catch fish. But I now have a better understanding of how all my gear and tackle work.
I tell you what, though. You take live scope away from me, I'm like, I don't know about this shit. Because I done went 400 yards, 4,000 yards to see one single fish. You know what I mean?
Dead water.
Dude, it's a whole new game. We take live scope away.
I lean on it a lot more for crappie fishing than I do bass fishing.
Yeah.
You know, I still feel like I think there's still a lot of bass that'll hide from you, even with live scope.
Well, it is.
Absolutely.
They get down there in the bottom.
Yeah,
You got to really
they're
watch
sitting
them.
on bottom. You really got to be paying attention, you know.
Yeah.
But with crappie, I mean, it's a game changer.
Oh,
You'll be 30 foot deep, and you're like, oh, there they are.
I'll be standing there staring at a little spot. I was like, oh, there she is. She moved. I see her. You know, and you throw that thing, you know, because she'll sit there and she'll stay in there until she
all
flicks,
of a sudden,
you know,
you'll see a
moves.
little tail, and you're like, wait a minute, there's something
She's
there.
in there. She's in there, you know, and especially bed fishing, you know, and
You said it.
boy, that shit's fun, man. Throw a Carolina rig in there and you catch her.
Just-
But
Yeah, I pulled crappie out of 55 foot of water and watch them live scope the whole way.
it's amazing,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that kind of technology, you know, like, it's hard for me to believe. Like, we have this technology now, and the same thing with the thermal stuff. Like, you know, like even your guy using, you know, new gear, new technology, like you're talking about earlier. It's like, imagine what the government has. You know,
You guys got drones in the police force?
We do.
Do you?
Yeah.
thermal.
Yeah.
Which
Heck
ones y'all got? Do you
Thermal
know?
and we got thermal and FLIR. We run Skydio drones. We got X2s and we just bought an X10.
Oh, I ain't familiar.
The
with them.
X10 has a legit FLIR on it, like good FLIR, and the X2s they're thermals.
Man,
So
I'm talking about sweet.
yeah,
Talking about covering ground and finding life.
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Drones are going to become a big deal in law enforcement.
I can see
they
that.
already are.
How do y'all? I mean, what do you see in the future? How you guys would use a drone?
We use drone a lot we use it for a lot of different situations, but people that run from us, obviously, you know, you get some guy that runs off into a wooded area or some area, you know, you can throw a drone up, you can put middle of the night, put thermal on. He's not going to be able to hide very well.
No,
We use them on Overwatch for tactical operations. So if we're going out to a house, we'll have the drone out like just in advance of the team getting there, doing Overwatch, be able to see if anyone was, you know, try to run out the back door, that kind of thing. You can also just watch the team. I can set it to command post we have a bus that we use for a command post, and I can set in the command post and watch it on TV.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've got my drone operator outside, you know, standing there.
Y'all have
operating the drone.
special training for drone
yeah.
guys that
Yeah.
fly them.
Yeah, they went to what's called the 107 training and become drone pilots and, you know, take the test and all that stuff. So, yeah,
That's
they
cool.
did the full Monty.
See, I can see that being, you know, a huge resource because it's like,
I didn't mean to change it.
I mean, I know, but the thermal drones are sweet.
Yeah.
You know, like anybody that's ever seen one in person, it's just like you can find whatever life is out there so fast and efficient that it beats, you know, boots on the ground running around looking for a guy.
The new thing in law enforcement with the drone technology is drones as first responders. So the new thing that's happening right now is that you have actual like landing pads for the drones. They're actually little capsules where the drone goes inside of that.
I've seen them. I've seen those.
It sits there, you know, and then when
It sits where though?
when the call, it could be on top of the building, it could be in the back lot, it can be wherever you want to put it. It keeps the drone charged. It keeps it from freezing. You know,
Yeah.
it's got a warmer inside of it in case you're in freezing temperatures. And then you can pilot that drone from any computer that you have connectivity with.
Yeah.
So you could literally set in a room inside of wherever, and you could have that drone fly out and go to the scene of a crime before an officer even gets there. And you think about how much faster you can get there on a straight line as opposed to trying to navigate roadways.
Yeah.
You know, so you can get these drones out there in advance. We haven't moved that far with our drone program yet, but there's agencies in.
I can see it. I can see it happening.
So how does that work though? Because you know, like our drones, you know, you gotta be within range for it to work. So does those drones work off like the satellite or something?
They work off cellular connectivity.
Cellular, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you're able to navigate them from anywhere.
Yep.
Hmm.
So as long as you can get cell signal, you can navigate it.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you just have them stationed up, ready, just spread out amongst the city.
Yeah, there's some agencies in America now they have multiple places where they have the drones pre-staged and they send them out on calls like that. Yeah.
Hmm.
I've seen that. I've seen those. I mean, those little those stations, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty cool. I thought I'd get one too.
So I mean, with the drones, we're basically almost two RoboCop stage. You know what I mean? Like,
Imagine we had
how many years out you think we are from, you know, all of a sudden some dude, you know, trying to steal a car or something, and drone's like starts talking to him, you know, like.
Oh, they got speakers for them too.
Yeah. Yeah, you can
dude,
talk to them now.
We're already there.
No, they got speakers for them.
We're already there.
You're not keeping up with the drones.
No, I'm not like you apparently.
All right, they got speakers. They got ropes you can pull stuff with. I mean, it's pretty neat shit.
Yeah, that's
Pretty
cool.
cool.
You
shoot a
can
net out
you can
and
actually
let the
get
guy-
them to lock onto a car
Yeah.
and follow the car.
Mhm.
You can drop a GPS dot on a map and send it out to there, and it'll
Oh, yeah.
go out there.
Yeah.
So it's
It's crazy technology.
It's pretty sweet.
It's crazy technology, but it also saves officers too, because you get a drone up in the air and you kind of know what you're dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
So it could save a life,
Yeah,
which
it
is
can see
cool.
around corners.
I like technology. Some people don't like technology. I like technology. I like Loudscope. I think Loudscope's cool. I mean, some people hate it. The old school guys hate it, but that's just because they're having a hard time learning it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because
Because it's not fun to learn.
it's aggravating,
Especially
man.
bass fishing. Like crappie, they're all brush piled up or, they're all together.
We're back
It's
on
a little
fishing.
bit easier. So just like that, we're back.
We're back on fishing.
But bass fishing with
Yeah.
it took me like 3 months to get to where I could actually catch a fish that I seen on the screen.
It's harder than what people think it is.
Oh, for sure. I mean, just because you can find them don't make they're all going to buy it.
The damn boat control, like controlling your boat and making a cast and watching the screen and working your jig. I mean, that's a lot of shit going on.
It's teaching you to be multitasker.
It's a lot harder than what people think.
I just think it's the evolution of everything, just like everything else. I mean, technology's evolved greatly over the years from, we were driving up here this morning talking about, we had teachers that said, hey, you got to learn how to do real math. You're not going to have a calculator in your pocket. Really?
Everybody does.
Not only do we have calculators, we got computers.
Yeah.
And now we got live scope. It's just like when I started fishing with my dad when I was a little kid, we had a box flasher.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. That's all we had was a flasher.
Yeah.
And I remember when my dad bought a paper graph.
I remember that.
And the paper graph had the little thermal paper with the high temp stylus. That's how it would burn the image on the paper.
Yeah,
and
I don't know that.
That was super cool. Like it was
Really?
cool, super cool technology back then.
Wow.
But it was a pain because you had to change out the paper all the time every time
What
the paper
the
ran
heck?
out.
That's crazy.
But man, it had great detail.
I had
That
a
is
bag phone
crazy.
one time.
So it's just like everything. It's just see the evolution of technology and fishing, just like you do in every other aspect of society.
Yeah,
It's all going crazy.
Even the reels and the rods, man. Like
Oh yeah,
you could spend some money on some
Super
rod
light
reels.
and strong.
If you don't know what $1,000 rod and reel feels like, oh my God.
yeah.
There's a huge difference. Sad, but it is. Unfortunately, it's crazy.
I mean, even what was that just came out? They figured out how to make a quantum computer chip. What's up with that? Have y'all seen that? Has anybody heard of the quantum computer chip? No, not. Nobody's heard of this but me.
I don't know.
No, not in a reel. It's like Microsoft or somebody. I don't know who. Don't quote me on this because I do not know. But a quantum computer chip.
People are going to eat you up on that one.
No, look it up. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I've been seeing stuff about it, but I don't really know nothing about it.
That clip's going to go viral.
That one.
I'm just saying.
Daniel's looking it up.
Hey, he's gonna look it up. He's fixing. What we got? What we got, Daniel?
He's still looking. He don't even know what you're talking about. So what kind of fishing tackle do you use? What's your favorite lure you throw?
Oh, now we're gonna get bass or crappie.
Bass.
Man, I'm a big fan of a crankbait.
Oh, yeah? You like the crank?
I do. Big fan of a crankbait. Versatile bait.
Yeah, it
I'll
is.
throw it right down the middle of a brush pile too.
Really?
Yeah,
See?
absolutely.
I'll be locking mine up, dude. I'll be like, well, that was going.
What's your favorite color?
Something in shad. I fish clear water a lot,
Yeah.
so something in a shad pattern.
Yeah,
Some natural.
that makes sense
Yeah,
too.
and I mean, other times of the year, maybe there's certain times of the year you want to throw reds and with orange bellies and things like that, you want to imitate a crawfish more, maybe, or depending on the area that you're fishing.
Or perch
But,
or whatever.
yeah, I mean, but day in and day out, I'll grab a shad pattern.
Oh, yeah.
See, down here, down south, what we lean on a lot is like we'll throw all the shaky heads, worms, we throw crawls, a bunch of stuff like that. We for the most part, we jig fish. I would say Texas rig probably the most is what I throw.
Finesse fishing. I mean, we do a lot of Cincos and drop shots and stuff like that. Of course, we catch a lot of fish up there and drop shots.
Yeah, I mean, I do all that stuff too. But if you made me just pick one that I would probably throw more than another one,
Man,
crankbait.
you crank it all day?
I'll crank it all day. Yeah.
Oh my God!
I have
Sure.
my tennis
Don't you have
elbow
like your elbow
flared
hurting
up.
and stuff?
Got to get the right gear ratio.
Yeah. What is the gear ratio for you? What do you like?
I'll throw if I'm cranking, I'll throw a 6-1 usually.
Oh, 6-1?
Yeah.
Yeah. What pole?
I'm not real picky.
You're real picky? Something good.
I mean, just
something soft.
Yeah. I like something with a little bit softer tip for throwing a crankbait or anything that's got, trebles on it.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
But yeah, something a little stiffer, of course, for
I've seen some monster bass come out of grass lines with a crankbait and rail traps and stuff. I just seen them. Now that is cool.
It is.
You ever see you got a last scope down there? You see that thing? Wow!
Just come popping out of the grass.
You get all nervous. Shit be shaking. Oh,
hey, all of a sudden your speed drew it in. Then also you got to change everything. Like when the actual fish is coming. That's the worst part.
The worst part for
when
me,
the fish is coming, it's like, all right, just act cool. Act like you don't know he's there.
Yeah.
Because like you're doing everything right so far. Don't mess it up.
What
now.
happens to me? I got the Demicky rig or something out there, and I'm over there, and here he comes. He turns. He comes around. Then I just fall apart. Oh shit! You
start double bouncing.
You were like, don't mess up. Don't mess up. Don't mess up. Slow down. Slow down. You be talking to yourself. It's a shit show.
Then I look up. My boat's facing a different direction. The wind done blew me all the way around. I can't even find the fish again. I'm like, nah.
Yeah, your boat's drifting over the fish. You're like, no.
I'm directly over the brush pile now. I'm like, great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the part about it.
Then that's when you call me and it's like, hey, what's wrong? I just ran over my fish.
He's gone.
I just can't keep my boat controlled. Bass fishing last scope is hard, but
what do you fish out of?
I've got a Triton TR19.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, man.
How fast it run?
About between 60, 65.
Yeah.
150 Yamaha on the back. It's an older, it's an Earl Bent's boat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I met him once.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Long time ago. He came to Express Boats when I was a kid, back when they got into the aluminum business.
Yeah.
Because they was in the aluminum business. They came over to Express Boats. I think they tried to get them to build their boats. And they said no. So then he said, okay, I'm going to build my own boat.
Yeah.
And it looks just like an Express. It's crazy. It's amazing how that works.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good dude. I don't know, what was my first boat? I had a Ranger, I think.
Yeah, you had a Ranger one time.
My first fiberglass boat.
And what'd you have after that? You had one more.
What, glass boat or aluminum boat?
You had another glass boat.
No, it was just a Ranger.
Maybe I thought maybe you got one and you were gonna do.
Well, we
something
started
with
building our own boats.
Well, that's true.
We started using our own boats.
Yeah.
But we still got glass boats too. We like glass boats.
Yeah.
We like all boats.
Yeah, it's hard to beat a glass boat for like rough water, like big lakes. Like getting set up and the wind not blowing you around, handling the rough water in the open lake. It's hard to beat a glass boat for that.
For sure.
The weight of them. It's just something to it. The way they're able to curve. Aluminum is all straight lines, just about. So like if you can't run a straight line there, you can't technically bend it. At least what we have here.
Yeah, it's tough building a boat. It's just tough building boats that look like a glass boat.
Mm-hmm.
That glass boat stuff just looks so good. It's crazy. It got so much more benefits when you're fishing, like you said, big waters.
And fishing weather is here too.
Yeah, it is. It's here. We're about ready to go fishing. You're going to have to quit working and go fishing.
I would have been fishing today, but you guys want me to come here.
That's right, man.
Well, if you would have told us you wanted to go fishing, we'd have understood that.
We would have just done this on the waters.
We'd say, well.
See, that's just lack of communication.
Well,
if he would have told us that, we'd have done this on the water.
Yeah, David would have called me and said he just wants to go fishing. I was like, okay, let's just let him go fishing.
We could have done an on the water podcast.
That would have been cool. Maybe we'll do the next one like that.
I think we're going fishing tomorrow. So
yeah,
first time of the year, we're ready.
I still got so much to do to my boat.
Yeah, he gets to put some grass on the stuff, but anyways, man, that was awesome. Do you regret being? Do you ever regret going into law enforcement?
No, I don't have any regrets at all. I do not.
If you're doing it all over again, you're doing it the same way.
You married?
I'm married. Yeah,
married?
Been married to the same woman forever.
Since
before I was a police officer.
She always worried about, being married to an officer.
Yeah, I've had some. I've had some of those assignments over the years that were kind of crazy. I did SWAT for about almost 17 years.
It's probably kind of like military wife, it's tough, especially when men go off to war. For an officer, I think it'd be worse because they always in war. Just every moment, every day could be,
and you're going on deployment for a year, or whatever. And at least with law enforcement, you're coming home every night.
I think it's worse. I think it's worse for law enforcement
Yeah, because it's every day not knowing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I meant. I mean, I think it's worse on you guys because, in my opinion anyway, because you guys are always on the streets. You're always out there. Like for you guys, it's war every day, you know?
You never know when it could turn.
That's right. You never, I mean, you never know.
Any traffic stop could turn into something, horrendous.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And we've had it happen too, I mean, any city or any law enforcement officer, period, is, subject to that to happen at any moment.
Yeah, I know it.
And
just the same way, like when you realize that you wanted to be a law enforcement, obviously at that point, something bad had happened to somebody else, in your position. I mean, it's crazy. Any day could be, you got to take them all one day at a time, huh?
It has to be pretty tough on your old lady, though, your wife,
Yeah, and like I said, I work some crazy schedules. I mean, we all do. If you do this for very long, and I've done it for a long time, I've had some crazy schedules and stuff throughout the.
She ever get you once you quit? She's like, just quit. Can you be somebody normal for once?
Yeah.
She's ready for me to retire anytime.
I bet.
I guarantee you.
I bet she is. Yeah. She's probably tired of hearing about it, worrying about it. It has to be a lot of stress for her.
It is, yeah.
It definitely is. I can see that. I mean,
especially since, you said y'all been, together since before,
How long you been married?
Oh, you would ask me, it'd be 28 years and about a month.
You got to quit doing that.
We don't have to.
You got to quit doing that. He be putting everybody.
Years in a month, in a month from now.
28?
28 years.
I've been married 27, 28. I mean, I'm right there with you. I mean, we're married so damn long, it doesn't even matter. I mean, whatever.
It's only like a quarter of a decade.
Yeah.
I mean, a century. Golly, I'm going to get roasted for that too. Every time. It's me.
Yeah. You start the shit, man.
I'm telling you, man. But I know there's a quantum chip. I didn't make that up. Hey, Google that, guys.
Marriage is a good thing. I love my wife more now than I did when I first met her, for sure.
Yeah.
To put up with me for this long.
That's what I was going to say. They put up with us all these years.
I start, you get where you're in your marriage, you start feeling sorry for her. So I'm sorry.
I'm trying to do better.
It's been 27 years of this bullshit. I get it. I mean, eventually you start saying, okay, fuck, you're a good woman.
Law enforcement wives put up with a lot of stuff.
I bet. Oh, hey, boat builder wives
getting called in just random times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we don't really know how they feel on the other side. They watch us walk out the door in a uniform or whatever you're doing that day, and you're going to work. And, I don't really know how she felt.
She feels proud and scared all at the same time.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. I guarantee it. She feels proud and scared.
Absolutely. Women are stronger than we are.
Absolutely.
Put up way more than we'd be able to put up with.
He wouldn't be the man he is without his old lady. That's why he goes to work every day.
That's true.
So
100%.
True.
Well, Billy, thanks for coming. It's awesome learning about it. And maybe next time we'll go fishing. Well, obviously, we had a gap in the communication chain.
Apparently, we did.
Well, if we'd have known that you would have been fishing and we're getting ready to be fishing, we would have just synced right up in the middle and we'd be doing this fishing.
Yeah. I don't know if we can do a podcast fishing, but we would have said, okay, let's reschedule for a rainy day. Way to go, David.
A bad day. Yeah, bad fishing day.
Yeah, it's windy. Let's have podcast.
Well, that wraps this thing up. Guys, thanks. This is good. I hope you catch big fish this year. If you do, please send them. We'll do an update.
Definitely stay safe out there.
Definitely.
Thank you.
And, hope everybody want to say thanks to, all the law enforcement, all these cities and all these states, because it's a tough job. And somebody's got to do it.
And tell all you guys, don't pull any wrapped trucks over and have it, guys. Let them go.
Yeah.
Give them the green light.
And open 167 up.
Y'all be chill when you drive through Hot Springs now.
We're shaking bacon. We're shaking bacon.
You'll know it. Yeah, for the rest of the season, we'll have a bass boat behind it. You'll see us.
What's all the crotch rocket guys do? They tap their helmet. When they see a police officer, they tap.
Let everybody else know.
That's what we'll be doing.
Now you see that and you're like, oh, wait a minute. There's something going on here.
Yeah.
All right, well, that wraps it up. Leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and y'all check out the next one.